One reason this podcast and website is called Weekly 50 is because I think the weekly photo strikes a nice balance between challenging and building up a discipline about taking photography, but not getting too overbearing, while also not being too underbearing, if you will. And it was with a bit of hesitance or trepidation, you might say, that a few weeks ago, my friend Julie issued me a challenge on Facebook. She said, take one nature photo a day, every day for a week. And I normally don't do those types of daily challenges or exercises because for me, they're kind of counterproductive. They become more about fulfilling the challenge itself rather than exploring photography. But it was only a week, and I figured I could take a photo a day for a week. That's no big deal. So I did. I took her up on the challenge, and you know what? It was actually a good thing. I really enjoyed it. And sorry about that beep there. That was my phone. And for the next 7 days, I found myself looking at things in kind of a new light, and it kind of gave me a little bit more energy for getting out and really looking for photos and taking photos. Even though I already do this weekly photo blog, it was kind of a fun idea, and right away, I guess I would issue that as not a challenge, but just something to try. If you're looking for a way to kind of up your game in terms of photography, try doing 1 week of some type of photo challenge. Maybe it's nature, maybe it's people, maybe it's animals, maybe it's sunsets or landscapes. But for 1 week, do a certain type of photography. Now, I know some people like to do photo 365 challenges where every day for a year they post a picture on Instagram or Facebook. But I find that it's more useful to limit the scope either to 1 week or to a certain subject or type of photo. So maybe try that if that's something that you want to do for growing as a photographer. About the photo itself, though, so I was walking on campus. It was kind of a rainy day, or maybe it was right after a rainy day, and there was puddles of water everywhere. And I thought, man, that'd be cool to take a photo of a puddle of water with somehow take a photo of a puddle of water. But the problem is a puddle by itself is not all that interesting. It helps to have a subject to look at in the photo, which is what you see here. I thought it would be cool to find a leaf or a flower or something to put in the photo. Well, ideally, it would just be there. I wouldn't have to put it there. But I couldn't find any puddles with something in them already. So I tried putting a leaf into a puddle. And for one, the leaf was brown mixed in with the brown dirt of the puddle and the mud below the puddle. So that wasn't all that interesting. And then the leaf sank. So scratch that. I found this puddle, though, without anything in it. And I thought, man, that'd be really cool. The lighting was good. It was kind of in the shadow of a building. And I went and found a little yellow flower and picked it and put it in here. And I don't know, man. I'm just really pleased with how it turned out. I like how it's framed with the reflections just above it and off to the sides of it. So it's kind of nestled between these whiter or lighter parts of the photo. I like that it's smooth. I shot this, I think, at f3.3, so the flower's in focus. You got kind of a sharp depth of field or a shallow depth of field, but then the back and foreground, they look kind of like they're silky smooth, almost like it's a time lapse. If you look at the ripples behind, it looks like one of those photos where someone sets their camera on the tripod and opens the shutter for 10 seconds with a neutral density filter, although that's not what happened here. I like the smooth element of it. And even though it was kind of an artificial photo in that I had to sort of create it myself by putting a flower in there, it still was a nature picture, and it wouldn't have happened had Julie not challenged me to that nature photo assignment. So thank you, Julie, if you're listening. And the final thing I want to say is I often talk about how gear doesn't really matter, which is kind of the case, but there's exceptions to that. For instance, when I took this, I had my D750 with me, which has a little fold-out screen on the back, and I never use that thing. I didn't buy the camera because it has the fold-out screen, but there are times when it does come in handy. I had to get really low on the ground and to get this photo, and I wouldn't have gotten that without a little foldy flip-out screen. So it just goes to show that occasionally, yes, it is the gear that matters. Not always, and I would say even not very often. But sometimes it is nice to have the extra little perks that different gear can give you. Regardless, at the end of the day, as long as you're getting out there making photos with the gear you got, then that's all that matters.